No one's here anyway.
Okay, I love you.
I love you. Goodbye.
Bye, Fluff. Okay. Put my plant in the window there. Okay. Hello. Cherry's not here because she's at the post office trying to send a parcel back home. That's seemingly tougher than it should be, and more expensive than it should be, but it's happening. She's down there. I'm from the future. Well, I'm not from the future, but currently this is the future compared to where we're up to in the video, so it's all good. Basically, after editing the video for Konya, and I really hope that you're all enjoying our Turkey portion of our videos, I realized for some reason, we didn't film anything after Konya. And quite a lot happened. Quite a lot. It was about a week. I don't know if we just didn't film. I don't know if I've lost footage somehow and don't really know. But I was reviewing and there's like one clip. So I thought I'd just sit down here quick and explain to you for a couple of minutes how we got from Konya to where the next video is going to begin. And I'll insert some groovy maps in there. Basically, leaving Georgia, we went to Erzurum. We then went to Ankara. From Ankara, we took the train down to Konya. We stayed there for only one night, and then, sorry, drinking too much Turkish coffee. Ankara to Konya. All the trains can be booked online. There's TCDD, which is the Turkish rail company where you can get your tickets online. The website's a little bit shite, but if I can work it out, you can work it out. And the ticket prices were pretty damn good. Way better than the buses, frankly. It's also the high-speed train. Konya's like right in the middle of the country. And yeah, we spent one night there, and it was actually a really cool town. Thinking back, if I was to just add on a night or two, I would probably have added on a night or two to Konya. It had just completely different vibe to all of the places. Turkey in general has been like that, where every single place we go to feels like a new country. It's still Turkish people, it's still Turkish food, it's still Turkish vibe, but every single city, and some of them haven't actually been that far apart, every single city we go to feels like a new place completely. It's been really cool like that. After the one night in Konya, we caught a bus for about, I think, 5 or 6 hours down to Antalya. And we stayed there for 2 nights. What can I say about Antalya? I can say that it wasn't really my cup of tea. Sherry enjoyed the beach for a bit. Otherwise, it was nice to get a little bit more seafood. Prices were a little bit higher than we were used to as for the rest of our Turkey travels. And there wasn't much to see there. That's Antalya. So if you want more chill and sort of beachy and the rest of it, the area where we were had like a couple of big walking streets and shop streets and whatnot, and then further away, a couple of kilometers, was sort of this big resorty spot that had lots of resorts and lots of tourists, and the beaches were down there, and I don't like the beach. Sherry enjoyed it. Here's that clip. But I kind of just wandered around for a day or two while Sherry enjoyed the beach for a while, and drinking loads of chai and catching up on my book. It was pretty chill. It was nice. And then we caught another bus for about 5 hours heading west this time along the coast from Antalya to Fethiye, where we also only spent one night. So that portion, that week there from Konya was pretty quick moving. We kind of like We like to move fast. We also like to then every now and then take a week to just sit down and well, not chill out, but take it in a bit deeper than just a few days or a few nights. In Fethiye, also beachy vibes, touristy vibes, which is all good. We only planned one night and nearly got ripped off, nearly got scammed. So I'll explain that story to you. So, okay, I'll give you the lowdown. Here it is. Where do I start? So we normally only book our accommodation a week, sometimes less than a week, before we arrive in that place. Fethiye, out of the entirety of Turkey, had the most expensive accommodation options, and so we were booking that about a week before we got there. While we were in Ankara, we booked Fethiye. Let's just say, for the sake of this conversation, I don't remember how much it actually was, but for the one night I think we paid 1,300 lira. Also, like on booking, if anyone's used it a lot, basically what happens is, depending on the accommodation, you either get charged immediately when you make the booking for the stay that's a week away, or sometimes the accommodation prefers you pay in cash or prefers you pay when you arrive, or so on, so on. So that's always changing, and it's been sporadic depending on where we are and what the accommodation we booked is. So this one said you pay when you arrive. Okay, fine. So that was that. Then, while we were still in Ankara, probably 2 days after we'd made the booking, I got a charge out of in my bank account that I didn't recognize. You know, traveling like this and me being the accountant for our duo, I'm always checking in. I'm always making sure, all the way up to, you know, we get dinner or I buy a drink from the shop. I check how much it was in Australian dollars. I check my bank statement, all the rest of it. All of a sudden I woke up one morning, and when I woke up there was a charge in the early hours of the morning for 1,000 lira. So I knew that it wasn't that place that we'd booked charging me early, even though on booking.com it said charging me when we arrived. And it didn't match that charge, right? It was 1,000 lira, whereas it was 1,300. So I reported it to my bank, was waiting to hear back from them, and sort of just carried on with our trip. We went to Konya, we went to Antalya. We've now arrived in Fethiye, off of the bus. When we arrive, the key was in the door. That was all organised with the guy that I'm talking to on WhatsApp that owns a place. I ask if we're going to see him. He said, I'll be there in half an hour, and says that he wants me to pay in cash. Okay, that's fine. Then I was sitting there, we were kind of waiting for him, and then he wasn't there in half an hour, and then he said he'll be there in an hour, and he wasn't there in an hour, and then he said I'll be there in another hour, and he wasn't there. So we kind of wasted our one afternoon in Fethiye waiting for this guy to come. While I was sitting there, sort of bothered by this wasting time thing, I've got no problem paying in cash. I didn't have that cash. I was going to have to go down the road. It occurred to me that, like, I have a funny feeling about this, and I want to make sure that the charge that I got the other day for 1,000 lira was not the same merchant. So I said to the guy, I don't have any cash, and I can't get any cash. Charge me off of booking.com. And so he says, okay, fine, I'll see you soon. Later on that day, he arrives. He's got an FPOS machine. Also, I don't mind this. And he plugs it in, puts in the 1,300, and paid with the same card. Immediately, good thing I've got cell coverage, reception, SIM card. On my bank, same merchant. So I immediately said, hey, I got charged from this merchant the other day. It was 1,000 lira, which is not what you've just charged me. And why are you ripping me off? He got kind of suspect. He got a little freaked out. He got a bit worried. His English went from being probably a 7 out of 10 to a 3 out of 10 immediately. Started playing around with the translator app and explaining that like the bank takes a charge and yada yada, and I was like, well, you've basically just double charged me, and if I paid in cash like you asked me to, you'd have gotten away with it. And started playing the card about like, I wonder how many other tourists you've ripped off and given Fethiye a bad name and this kind of thing. So after a little more hassling around with him and sort of making sure he understood that I caught him out in his little trick, I said, I want you to give me cash, and he pulled out his wallet and he gave me the 1,000 lira cash back. So yeah, and look, 1,000 lira ain't much, but when you're on a tight budget like we are, and scamming, don't scam, don't fucking scam, all right? Bad news, bad luck. We're not all stupid. A lot of tourists are stupid, but we're not stupid, okay? So you better watch it back there, Mr. Man. I just thought I'd pipe up and let you know, especially when you're doing long term and you've got new bookings every week and you're swapping between Airbnb and this and that and this and that. Be careful. Be, what's the word? Persistent. No? Is that the word? Just be fucking clever about it, okay? Check your bank statements. Make sure no one's shitting you off. Make sure no one's stealing your money, because that's your money and you deserve to be having a good time. He wasted our afternoon, nearly got away with it if I paid him in cash, and he was a little shitbag by the end of it when he was playing his tricks. So catch them out. Don't feel like you can't say something. Don't feel like, it's just 1,000 lira, it's not much. It's a suspect charge in your account, and it ain't any good, okay? If we just let it happen, or if we don't notice it, he's gonna keep doing that. I reported the shit out of him to booking.com. That's that. I got my 1,000 lira back. After all, I worked out who the suspect charge was, so that was off my chest as well. It's all good. Otherwise, Fethiye, we didn't see much of, but it was a lot like Antalya, where it was kind of beachy town, more tourists, and that's it. So, Konya, Antalya, Fethiye. Got me? From there, we had a ferry that we were catching to the island of Rhodes, or Rhodos, which is now Greece. It's right next to Turkey, but it's Greece. Catching a ferry to Greece. We booked the ferry on Ferryhopper, which is an app to book ferries, mostly around the Mediterranean. I think it does some Scandinavian, what have you. Anyway, the app worked out fine. The tickets were, it was an hour and a half ferry, and I think those tickets were 22 euro, which is a bit dear, but frankly it's all good. We're crossing an international border and all that. I'll just let it happen. It's getting louder. So the first Ferryhopper cost 25 euro each ticket. It was an hour and a half on the ferry. In the morning, I think we had to be at the dock at 7 a.m. Yeah, 25 euro each, which is rather dear compared to a lot of the whatever form of transport we've done. Oh, the other thing I'll note, that was booked on Ferryhopper. Ferryhopper on the app, like when you get your confirmation, it says you're booked, you're confirmed, this is the port that you're leaving from, and it's got like a little map on it, and this is the port that you're going to arrive at, and it's got a little map on it. If I had trusted Ferryhopper, we would have gone to the wrong place, and we probably would have missed that ferry, and we probably wouldn't have been able to leave the same day, because there was only the 8 a.m. ferry from Fethiye. After the whole mess around of this guy and his accommodation in Fethiye, I was kind of just in a bit of a mood, but also a little hardwired, so I decided, I left Sherry at the restaurant that we'd had dinner. I said, like, give me half an hour, I'm going to run down to one of the two ports. We were close to the other one was on the other side of the town. I'll show you a map and show you where the two are. The one we were close to was the one we had to go to, whereas Ferryhopper, the app, told me it was the other one. So, yeah, like I said, if we trusted what it said on the app confirmation, we probably would have gone to the other one, and we would have been in the wrong place at 7, and we may have had some issues getting to the other one by 8 to leave. I ran down there, found out it was that one, confirmed it was that one. Signs everywhere that says to Rhodes, so that's a Ferryhopper thing. The app itself booked my tickets, but make sure you know which port you're actually meant to be going to. Once we were at the Greek islands, it was smooth, it was nice, all good. Basically, that's the rundown. I think I've told you what you need to hear. How we got from Konya to Antalya to Fethiye. I told you I would have liked to spend more time in Konya, not only talking about Fethiye, but in general, when you're traveling, especially if you're long term, be really careful about little peculiarities. Be as switched on as you possibly can, and if you feel like someone's taking you for a ride, trust your gut instinct, point it out, clarify that it's the case, and if it is, nail them for it, because you don't deserve that, and it's actually really bad for tourism. I'm not saying I'll never go to Fethiye again. I'm not saying that he did scam other people. I'm not saying that everyone in Fethiye is going to. I didn't feel unsafe, but that guy did try to take us for a ride, and even if it's only $50, it's still my money. And he would have gotten away with it if I wasn't switched on, and if I didn't call him out, and if I didn't say, hey mate, you're trying to rip me off, stop that. That's that. As for the apps, for the train portion of Turkey, if you're traveling in Turkey and you're traveling on the train, TCDD works. You just gotta stick to it and hope for the best. It's the cheapest option. BusBud works a lot of the time, and that does tell you the right bus stations to go to. They call them autogars. Auto being auto and gar meaning stop or station, or no, station something else. Gar, autogar. I don't know. The buses and the trains are Trengar, Autogar, GAR. BusBud, its little map on your confirmation of where you're leaving from and arriving to is good. That takes you to the right one every time. And normally when you get in a taxi and say, I'm going to Konya, they know which one to take you to. Or if you're going from Konya station to Antalya, they know that it's the one on the south side, and they'll drop you off there and you normally walk straight in. Buses, yeah. And ferries. And the Ferryhopper works. Don't trust where it tells you the port that you're departing from is. Get there early. They've been the smoothest getting on board, smoother than the buses. The buses often it's like there's funny things going on, like there's someone in your seat or the guy doesn't give a shit. The ferries are the smoothest. Actually, the trains were pretty smooth too. I don't know. Between the ferry and the trains weren't international, so I'm going to go with the ferries. The ferries were the smoothest because they were also international, and from here, enjoy 2 weeks of Greece. It was a great time. Bye. Thanks for watching. Comment down below. Like and subscribe. Sorry Sherry wasn't here in this one. I really gotta pee.